Hey everyone, welcome back to The Next Level, a Lakeside show where we interview and catch up with Lakeside's alumni student athletes. This is our second episode ever, and before we start, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to all of you who sent along such kind messages to us after our first episode that we had a couple weeks ago. This was a kind of idea where we weren't sure how this thing was going to go, and if people didn't like it, maybe we wouldn't continue it, but it's clear now you guys really enjoyed it, really loved catching up with Corbin, and look forward to see who else we catch up with. So we're going to keep this thing going with our second episode ever. So let's get this thing on the road.
Spiller looking for some space inside, and even as she loses her balance, gets that one up and in.
Today we are joined by former Lakeside Lion, current Columbia Lion from the class of 2017, Kallin Spiller. Kallin, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Sure thing. Thanks for being on here. How's it going? I know this is a question that nearly every conversation we have to have nowadays has to start with this, but how you doing?
I'm doing as well as one can in these times. I think making the most of this extra time with my family, since I can't be at school right now, making the most of it for sure.
Now, I know we'll get into this later, but you play basketball right now in the Ivy League, and the Ivy League was one of the first leagues in the country, at least in NCAA, to shut down due to this pandemic. What went through your head when you heard that, and how soon did you come home?
It was heartbreaking to hear that my team had walked onto the court for our practice to get ready to go to the Ivy League tournament that weekend. And when our athletic director and coaches told us that it had been canceled, I was heartbroken for my team, for my seniors. We had one senior this year, and she didn't get the chance to live out her dream of being in the Ivy League tournament. So it was heartbreaking, but it's what had to be done in these times. So making the most from here on out, we all booked flights for that night or the next morning, and I flew back to Seattle the next day right after that.
Well, and then the silver linings of it, what are you doing to keep yourself happy? What are you doing to keep yourself busy while you're home?
Well, plenty of workouts. Our team's still in communication. I'm also spending a lot of time with my family. My younger brother is 15, and I've missed spending a lot of time with him in the last couple of years, so it's been a blast to kind of get to know him better as he's grown up and live together for a little bit.
Yeah, I know him very well. Kallin, we're going to move on to our first segment of this show, which is what we call the book, and that's where I'm just going to fill people in a little bit more on who you are and what you were doing at Lakeside and what you do now. You were a 4-year starter in both basketball and volleyball. You're the only player in Lakeside School basketball history to score over 1,000 points. I think you ended up with 1,245. And collect more than 1,000 rebounds. You ended up with 1,203. You were the Metro League Most Valuable Player your senior year in volleyball in the fall, and then again just a few months later in basketball in the winter. Then you committed to stay locally here at Seattle University to play both basketball and volleyball. And in your first year there, you redshirted in volleyball, so you didn't see any action. But then, no big deal. You just went a few more months and ended up being the Western Athletic Conference Freshman of the Year and helped the Redhawks win their first conference title and NCAA tournament appearance in school history. Then you transferred to the East Coast to attend the prestigious Columbia University, so you ended up staying a Lion after all. You're playing basketball there. NCAA rules required you had to sit out a year because of that transfer, but then you were off to a pretty nice start to the season before, of course, the postseason was shut down due to the pandemic. Okay, Kallin, we're moving on to our next segment already. We're calling this one Play and Catch. This is just where you and I are going to catch up and find out what you're doing now, what you were known for back at your time in Lakeside. So let's play some catch. Like we've been saying, you were a 2-sport standout at Lakeside, and you were even committed to playing 2 sports at Seattle U. You could have stopped playing one sport to focus on the other at any point during your high school career, but what was it about playing for both teams at Lakeside that made you want to continue to be a part of it?
I absolutely loved my experience as a Lakeside student athlete, and I think cutting one of those experiences would have been too tough for me. I absolutely loved basketball and volleyball, grew up playing both, and I loved both of my teams. I just loved competing. I loved representing the maroon and gold. It was never a question of trying to quit one to focus on the other. I always loved being a dual sport athlete and took a lot of pride in that.
To go from high school athlete to Division I Conference Freshman of the Year is a pretty big jump. But you were able to do it. What was it about playing for Lakeside, especially Lakeside basketball, that you think helped you make that transition so successful from high school to college?
I think one thing that a lot of students end up struggling with when you get to the college level is balancing college athletics with academics. I think the jump to college academics is stressful for anyone, and then add in the athletics commitment, and it's a lot for anyone to deal with. And I think going into each practice, going into each game, you had to make sure that you were on top of things outside of your life. So I would say being a student at Lakeside was extremely beneficial. I learned how to manage my time and was challenged. And so it was just facing another challenge in that first year of college. On the court, I think I was really prepared to work with my teammates too. There's really that emphasis on the team at Lakeside. And so I think that carries over really well to the college level.
You won a state championship with our volleyball team in 2016 and numerous playoff appearances on the basketball team all 4 years that you were at Lakeside. Aside from winning a lot, what's something that you learned about yourself as an athlete at Lakeside that you still think about each time you step on the court?
I would say every time I step on the court, I remember that I'm playing for something bigger than myself. I think at Lakeside, I really learned that I was playing for the Lakeside community, for my classmates, for our teachers, for everyone. And I was so proud of that. And every time I step on the floor for Columbia, I'm so proud to be playing for such an incredible institution and one that I take so much pride in. And so I think I just learned to know that I am representing more than myself. And I always wanted to give my best whenever I hit the floor to make sure that I was representing my schools in the way I wanted to.
All right, Kallin, our next segment is called Storytellers. And now when we were preparing for this interview, I asked you to think about a story, something that happened during your time while you were a Lakeside student athlete that wouldn't be something that anybody could just go back into our archives and learn about. So I asked you to prepare a story, so it's on you now. Tell us a story.
During my senior year, it was the last weekend of the volleyball season. Our team had made it to the state championship. It was a couple hours before we were supposed to play Mount Spokane that night, and our team was pretty nervous. We were pretty shaken by the fact no other Lakeside team had been there before, none of us had been in the state championship before, and we were really looking for something to motivate us. And I started reflecting on my past 4 years as a Lakeside volleyball player. And my freshman year, 3 of us made varsity as freshmen, which was something that hadn't happened in a really long time. And so Catherine Outcalt, Chloe Lorene, and myself all made varsity as freshmen. There was a great incoming freshman class. We ended up having 7 on our roster my senior year. And so our freshman year, the seniors, juniors, and sophomores on the varsity team decided to call Catherine, Chloe, and I the Fs and labeled us F1, F2, F3. Catherine was F1 because she was the oldest, and I was F3 because I was the youngest, so Chloe was F2. And we also didn't want the numbers we necessarily got. We didn't get to pick our numbers. We got the last of the batch. So I ended up with 16, Chloe ended up with 12, and Catherine ended up with 11. So I was just reflecting back before that state championship on how far we'd come from that freshman year when we didn't even make the Metro playoffs. I was thinking about it, and somehow I realized the state championship game was on November 12th, 2016. And if you put the numbers of F1, F2, F3 in that order, it was 11, 12, 16. I told everyone and ran around, was like, guys, we're meant to win this. And from that moment on, we all felt it. We knew that we could win, and we ended up beating Mount Spokane 3-0 pretty handily. And it was just like that motivation we needed. It was incredible and such a silly thing to think about, but it really motivated us.
It's pretty serendipitous. I mean, it obviously was some sort of like a team bonding thing that happened just because of this weird serendipitous number thing.
It was. I ran around in our hotel down the hall just knocking on the doors like, guys, we need to meet. I need to tell you what I realized. And for me, it gave me that boost of confidence, like, clearly this wasn't an accident. Somehow we were meant to end up here and win this thing, because it was 2013 and now it was 2016 that our numbers had aligned and said, this is the day we're supposed to win the state championship game.
That's so cool. Well, thanks for sharing that one. Obviously, we're all glad that worked out. That was a fun season for everybody who followed Lakeside Volleyball. So thank you for sharing that. All right, we're going to move on to the next segment. We call this one Let's Get Nerdy. This is where we try to break down and get a little bit more analytical and a little bit more in detail about the sports that you play. You finished your senior year with 446 kills on the volleyball court. And 409 points on the basketball court. Which was more satisfying to you, spiking a volleyball and then the ensuing team celebration that happens after every volleyball point, or completely dominating someone on the post, the basket falling, and getting the free throw?
Both are pretty incredible feelings. That's really tough for me to choose. I haven't experienced the kill in volleyball in a long time, but those moments were pretty special. I think especially because the game kind of stops for a moment. In volleyball, you're celebrating more. That's a great feeling, but also in basketball, you go and huddle your teammates and you're like, let's go, we got this. Both are great. Both are great feelings. I don't know if I could pick one that is better than the other.
You are 6'3", you're obviously great in the post, you block shots, you rebound, you get up and down the court, but you've also got some range on your jump shot too. A lot of Lakeside baskets you made were from outside of the paint, outside of the arc even. Do you still feel like you have the freedom to throw up a three-pointer as a Division I basketball player, or are you spending more time in the paint these days?
I would say I'm for sure practicing, and I do have the freedom to shoot from further back, but I spend most of my time in the paint. I'm really lucky in that I have great guards and wings who are able to shoot outside, and so I think I'm really able to help my team down low. But I know my coaches want all of us to be able to shoot threes and make shots outside, and so that's something I'm really working on to become more consistent and more confident at the Division I level. But I will say there's nothing like sinking a three in a game, and I really miss that, so I'm working to get back to that.
You mentioned earlier spending more time with your brother Justin while you're home. He, of course, is a starter on the offensive line for us on the Lakeside football team. I'm going to name 5 sports that both of you guys don't play, and I want you to tell me who you think wins in a one-on-one matchup.
Ooh.
Tennis.
Me.
Golf. Not mini golf, like regular golf.
Probably him. He's more calm and focused in that way. I think he'd handle golf much better than I would.
Bowling.
We've bowled against each other before, but not since he's been older. It might be him again. He has a pretty strong arm.
Figure skating. Remember, with figure skating, you're being judged on like style and smiling and presentation. There's a lot of presentation going on in that sport.
I'd probably say me for figure skating, just with the dancing and being in front of people piece. I think I would be more into it than he would. I'd be less shy about trying different moves on the ice than he would.
Thumb wrestling.
He's double jointed, like everywhere, and can do crazy things with all of his fingers. Justin, hands down, would beat me in thumb wrestling. If I asked him right now, he would beat me in thumb wrestling.
Okay, Kallin, we're moving on to one of our most challenging segments that we have here on the next level. We're calling this one Time Trials. This is where we're going to put 60 seconds on the clock somewhere on the screen here. I'm going to ask you a bunch of random, not really Lakeside or sports related questions. We're going to see how many you can answer in 60 seconds. The number to beat right now, we've only done this one time. The number to beat is just 6. Corbin answered 6 of them. Ready, go. If you could instantly become an expert in something, what would it be?
Flying?
What's your spirit vegetable?
Broccoli.
Does pineapple go on pizza?
Yes.
What's your most used emoji?
The smiling one with cheeks.
Summer or winter?
Winter.
What's your favorite candy bar?
Twix.
What's a song you know all the words to?
Headlines by Drake.
What would be your best event in a triathlon?
Javelin? No, that's not a triathlon. A triathlon would be swimming. Swimming?
Okay. What food do you usually take to a potluck?
Fruit salad.
What animal are you most scared of?
Bear.
Invite one person to dinner, dead or alive.
Walt Disney.
Famous person.
Walt Disney.
Nice. Time's up. Oh, you got 11.
Woo!
11 is our new number to beat here. I want to hear more about, at some point, why broccoli is your spirit vegetable.
I was just going to say, that was the first vegetable that came to mind.
All right, Kallin, we're moving on to one of my favorite segments here on the show. We call this one Run It Back, and that's where we invite a special guest onto the show to ask you some trivia questions about not necessarily your time at Lakeside, but questions that this person thinks you should know.
Kelly Keene!
Also from the class of 2017, you're a friend, your teammate, and also a next level athlete that we have that came through Lakeside, a current guard for the Claremont Mud Scripts Athena's basketball team, Kelly Keene. Kelly, how's it going?
I'm doing good.
This is a fun one for me because some of my favorite memories of watching Lakeside girls basketball are watching you two play together on the court, but also seeing you pretty much attached at the hip all the time off the court at Lakeside too. Kelly has prepared a bunch of trivia questions for, I think 5, right, Kelly? 4 trivia questions for you. We're going to test your knowledge on, oh, it is 5.
Yeah.
It is 5.
Okay, Kallin. These are kind of tricky, but I trust your memory. Question 1. What age did we play on our first basketball team together?
That would have been ECBA, which I think would have been we were 10.
I think it's Wildcats.
I think ECBA was before. It was either 10 or 11 or 12, around there.
Well,
I don't know.
there you go.
You can research that.
It's all right. It's fun memories.
What team did we beat to end their 2-year win streak in high school?
Cleveland. One of the best memories of Lakeside basketball. We beat Cleveland in their home gym.
By 1 or 2 points, right?
By 1 or 2 points. It was a low scoring game too.
Yeah.
I think it might have been 2 baskets, like 4.
Great game. One of my favorite memories. Question 3. What team did we play on that went undefeated for 2 seasons?
The Snoqualmie Middle School Eagles basketball team.
We were unstoppable.
We were.
Question 4. What was the first sport we played together and how old were we?
Ooh, I know this one. We were on the Tigers softball team in 3rd grade.
Great job. Okay, this is the 5th and final question for all the points. Who still follows and watches their best friends' basketball games even though they are thousands of miles apart?
Both of us.
Woo!
I love watching your games. You had a great season at Claremont.
I love the sentimental last question there, Kelly. That's really nice. I'm going to call this one 4 for 4 since kind of that first question nobody knew the answer to. But Kelly, thanks so much for being on with us. Really appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Bye, Kelly.
Bye.
Love you.
Love you.
Okay, well, we've reached pretty much the end of the show here at Kallin. We do our last segment here called Shout Outs, and that's where we turn this over to you to shout people out that you want to say thanks to and say hi to. So take it away. The show is yours.
So first, to all of my teammates from basketball and volleyball, older, younger, everyone, I hope you're all doing well. I miss you all a lot. To all the coaches that I had the privilege of playing for during my time in high school, all of my teachers at Lakeside, I still look back on my days at Lakeside as the absolute best. I miss high school so much, and I love going back to Lakeside. I hope we'll all get to reunite soon. I want to shout out my family for always supporting me, my new family at Columbia, and the Lakeside community. I'm so thankful to call myself a Lakeside Lion. I can't wait to keep interacting with the community as an alumni here.
Awesome. Well, Kallin, thanks so much for coming on with us here and talking to me a little bit about your time at Lakeside and then all of that beyond. Let me wish you the best throughout your college career, and thanks again for coming on with us.
Thank you so much. I was super glad to be a part of this. Thanks again.
Good. All right. All right, everybody. That's it for our second episode of The Next Level. I wanted to say thank you to Seattle U and to Columbia University for letting us use the footage of Kallin in action. And of course, special thanks to Kallin Spiller and to Kelly Keene for coming on to the show today. Catch you next time. Go Lions.